Today, we are reviewing Mel Kiper's final 2025 NFL mock draft. Let's get right into this. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. You guys know how to use YouTube. With the number one overall pick, we do have Tennessee going Cam Ward, especially with them meeting with Kyle Williams today. I think that makes a lot of sense. It looks like they're trying to pair Cam up with maybe one of his receivers they used to have over at Washington State. It feels like it's the sure thing. They canceled their meeting with Shedeur Sanders. Let's just save the time, save the energy, because this is 2 full rounds. And number 2, the Browns go Travis Hunter. So, there is a debate right now between Abdul and Trav. The question is, I'm very curious, this is a live reaction, if we are going to see Shedeur slip in this. If he does, then this might be the right move to pair Shedeur and Trav back up. If he does not, then I do think you might want to go BPA, which could be, in most people's eyes, Abdul. But Travis is far from a bad pick, so it's worth it. At number 3, Abdul Carter goes to the Giants. I definitely think with the looming Kayvon Thibodeau situation, this could end up basically freeing up some future capital. I do believe that you guys would try to deal KT in this situation, and rather than use him for one more year just because, I don't think his value is going to increase with Abdul on the squad. But, sometimes you got to admit when a loss is a loss, Abdul is worth the swing. At number 4, the Patriots go Will Campbell. And I'm not the biggest Will Campbell guy. I've said it plenty of times. Honestly, I recommend going and seeing my most recent mock draft with Trevor Sikkema. He came on the show. Great listen. I hope you guys do check that out, where we ended up talking about Will Campbell to New England and both the issues as well as maybe the over-exaggerated issues with Will Campbell. But bottom line, I would prefer to wait till round 2. However, I don't blame a team for trying to get their guy here at the top. At number 5, we got the Jaguars going Mason Graham. Makes a lot of sense when you think about Gladstone with both Aaron Donald as well as Braden Fisk. Undersized defensive tackles that have had a lot of success with them. So could definitely see that happening there as well. The Raiders go Ashton Jeanty at 6. Pete Carroll's not the youngest guy in the world. Neither is Geno Smith. It does look like they're trying to maximize the window for both the coach as well as the quarterback. Ashton Jeanty gives you probably your best shot at doing that. The Jets go Armand Membu at pick 7. I love Membu. Great player. I would say that Membu has the chance to be a superstar if he does end up being trained properly with Olu Fashanu. I think they match each other both in assets and liabilities, pluses and minuses. So I think that they can both have similar career arcs. Hopefully, both end up being positive. At number 6, you got the 8. The Panthers go Jalen Walker. Teams love him. I just feel like he's pretty much going to be a lock in this top part of the draft. The quote of the year, so to speak, for Jalen Walker was from Todd McShay saying, "What's the difference between Jalen Walker and Abdul Carter? 2 inches." And obviously, he ended up breaking down much more than that. Feel free to let his explanation explain a little bit further, but teams love him. I'm pretty damn high on him. I have him at 15, but, I still have my certain questions with him. But Carolina getting Jalen either as a linebacker or as an edge, I don't blame him either way. So I like him at off-ball linebacker, same thing as Mel. Regardless, I think he's going to be an asset on that defense. Number 9, the Saints go Shedeur Sanders. So kind of answers that question. I don't necessarily so I like this right here. He could slide. I do think he slides to the late first. I don't know if Kellen Moore is going to tie his first pick to Shedeur Sanders. That's just my opinion right there. However, I know that Mel has Shedeur as his top QB. I personally don't. It's okay. There's plenty of debates on that. I have a quarterback video out that explains that a little bit further, but I do have Shedeur as that late 1 to early 2 grade. So I think for the Saints, it just depends on who ends up falling. If you do end up getting, this is 2 rounds as well. So we'll see how they address round 2. And then I think in retrospect, we can end up learning whether that was the right move. At 10, the Bears go Tyler Warren. Ended up talking about this with Trevor Sikkema as well on the mock draft. I didn't really understand this vision, but Trev ended up explaining it very well. Please go and check that video out. It's doing extremely well, but honestly, I think that, some people complained about the quantity or the length that Trev was talking. I don't think that's an issue. I think that's honestly great because he gave so many really good nuggets, including why he loved Tyler Warren. And so it's perfect because he also talked about it in the context of the Bears. So he explains it better than I ever could. But it's a very big curveball pick, but something I could see happening at pick number 10 if like based on the usage of tight ends there in Detroit. Number 11, the Niners go Will Johnson. I love this boundary corner to pair up with Renardo Green, the Lenore in the slot. I think it's fantastic, especially with the rumors that we're hearing about. Why do I keep wanting to call him Jalen Carter? I mean, technically he had personality concerns as well, but Walter Nolan, he's like pretty much pinned into the Niners, but maybe it's not in round one. There's some concerns there that I've seen from some pretty big sources that are outside of just maturity, even though I haven't seen the quotes myself. I've just seen from people who have inside sources talking about how there could be some concerns that push him into round two, which I've been spoiled on this one because that's the tweet I ended up seeing, like that comment about it. But he falls to round two. So that's another thing. Cowboys go Amari Hampton at 12. I mean, you guys know what I think of Amari Hampton. My board's below my face. It's not predictive. It's solely there for showing the players that I love in the order that I love them. I'm a super fan of Amari Hampton. I just don't know if Dallas is in a position to really maximize their potential with Amari Hampton, neither with Amari Hampton's potential. With the receivers on the board, I just think there might be a better landing spot for Hampton elsewhere. However, me being a Dallas native, I would not mind seeing him here a lot of times a year. At number 13, the Dolphins go Jahdae Barron. It'll be intriguing to see where he ends up playing. I assume they're going to talk about the boundary corner position. I don't have that level of faith in Jahdae Barron the way that I really want to, but Jade's still a top 40 player for me. He's a really good player. It's just I'd want the slot to be a little bit more open and a little bit more worth it. And at 13, I just can't justify that. Then we have number 14, the Colts go Colston Loveland. I think tight end's absolutely on their radar. It's just how much do you think Colston Loveland's going to help you on every single down? I don't think and we saw the issues with Loveland with the fact that his quarterback couldn't get him the damn ball. We're having similar issues with Richardson in accuracy. So I do feel like more of a surefire tight end that is going to be a little more safe rather than the receiving style, like a little bit more well-rounded, is going to be better for Anthony Richardson. But the question is, do you want to go after the player that you can help out your offense the most or the player who can help out Anthony Richardson the most? I think those would be two different guys in this equation. Of course, the dream is Colston Loveland, but some people have, some people believe that Colston Loveland's better. And people who I respect also say Colston Loveland's better than Warren, but they're completely different. I don't think you're genuinely looking at one or two. You're genuinely trying to say, hey, what role do I want? And then you put in the tight end at that role. And number 15, the Falcons go Mike Green. There's some off-field stuff that we'll see if it ends up truly coming about as a legit negative. If it does not, this is a great move. You need pass rusher. Mike Green has all the built-up potential in the world. Works with Ulbricht's system as a stand-up guy as well. I'd be excited to see how Mike Green ends up working out in the NFL. Cardinals go Matt Golden at 16. This is the second mock draft I've seen Matt Golden. I don't think he should be going to Arizona. I don't think it helps out the team as much as what maybe people think he does with that deep speed, with Kyler being able to YOLO it. I would just say there's not enough targets and production available to maximize the talent you have on your team and justify Matt Golden in the first. I would say the target share, the return on investment's just not there in my opinion. At 17, the Bengals go Jahad Campbell. I do not like this pick at all. I mean, looking at Al Golden's defense, Jahad Campbell's nothing close to the style of linebacker that they had and worked really well with in Notre Dame. Danny Stutzman's a perfect Bengals linebacker for Al Golden, in my opinion. Just someone who's not going to be a primary pass rusher, but is good in pretty much every other phase. Jahad needs to be with someone who will blitz him and blitz him a lot. And that kind of bothers me, the fact that he'd go to a system that is not notorious for doing that, but also is notorious for having very good linebacker play. So, I mean, I just don't see that being a good idea, personally. Number 18, the Seahawks go Kelvin Banks. Honestly, you could use him at guard in the short run and then have, the tackle flexibility in the long. My only issue is you'd have to cross-train Kelvin to a position that he has yet to play at a higher level. At least you have time to do it. But Kelvin Banks, I'm not going to complain if that is the pick. Buccaneers go Nick Eamon-Warry at pick number 19. You guys see what position I believe he is. I think he is a demigod. Like, he is just built different than pretty much anybody, especially for the amount of talent he has. I just want him deep. I do not want Paul. That sounded so bad. But I want him to be away from the line of scrimmage because his initial angles on run plays, his reaction time to rundowns, are not ideal, but he has the athleticism to make up for it, which is why I want him away from the ball because I think his coverage instincts are phenomenal. I don't know about the Bucs being the destination I'd want for him, but I still think that, it's an interesting idea. But Broncos go Tetairoa McMillan. He does fall to 20 in this. I'm curious to see where he actually ends up landing because I've seen as high as 4. I've seen him fall all the way to 21, if not 22. So it's going to be curious. It's going to be interesting to see, but he is going to be a first-round player. The Broncos go, if Ted's here, I'm not going to blame him for going after Ted. At number 21, the Steelers go Derek Harmon. I think I'd really want to trade back in this situation. I'm not sure if Mel is doing trade backs in this necessarily, but I'm just grateful it's not Jackson Dart. I think Derek Harmon, I've been a fan of his since Michigan State. It would be a very solid addition for the future. And then you have Keanu Benton probably a little bit more in a natural position. And you could put Derek Harmon where Keanu Benton's been playing. And then train up Derek Harmon with his overall build to be kind of the successor there for Cam Hayward. I'd like to see how that end up playing out. Chargers go Grace Zabel at 22. Not really much of a role that's available. However, if you can end up justifying, like saying, hey, we ended up having re-signing Bozeman as a mitigation deal and putting Zabel at center, I'm all for it. We'll see what happens. If they end up doing this, I'm going to be super excited for them. At number 23, we got Michael Williams going to the Green Bay Packers. Another project, Georgia edge. I respect it. You guys do need to continue investing. I don't think you have a true edge 2 on your team. So Michael Williams continues giving you an opportunity to solve that issue. Vikings go Donovan Jackson at 24. Good to see him getting some love again, man. Donovan Jackson's the definition of prospect fatigue. This guy's a genuine first-round guard and then ended up playing nearly as a first-round tackle in just half a year of training and experience, which is incredible. So, I would not be surprised to see Donovan Jackson go in the top half of the draft and everybody be like, what? Like, if he goes at 16 to Arizona, I'm not going to be shocked. This guy proved that he's versatile, that he learns quickly, and that he's able to perform at a high level without a ton of experience. At 25, the Texans go Josh Conerly Jr. I think that Josh, it's a little bit early for him to the Texans based on the quantity of signings that you've had trying to patch the hole. I'd prefer Josh Simmons here because you can end up taking the higher ceiling player who has a little bit of a higher floor when healthy, but has that injury factor in there that he can end up healing from. And also before the injury, Josh was number 4 on my board. That's what the plus means. In case you guys were wondering, it is a pre-injury grade. 26, the Rams go Jackson Dart. I cannot support this one. It's just, I just don't understand this. If Matt Stafford knew they were going to spend the first round pick on Jackson Dart, I don't think he would have stayed. You need to maximize your Super Bowl window. Jackson Dart does not do that in any way, shape, or form. At number 27, the Baltimore Ravens go Malachi Starks. Third safety, best player available, Eric DeCosta all day long. That just makes a ton of sense. 28, you got the Lions going Donovan Ezraku. I think that I've started to almost overhype Ezraku in my head. He is pretty much a low-end double, like just a very solid player, but he's just the definition of consistency. The Lions don't need to hit a home run. You just need something consistent, and that's what Ezraku is going to bring to your team. At 29, the Commanders go Shamar Stewart. I love this because Shamar's athletic profile gives him a solid floor, even though he hasn't produced very well. And then when you combine that with Dan Quinn, I just have a lot more faith in his chance to truly succeed. It's a great pickup there at 29. At 30, the Bills go Max Hairston. I don't have him as a first-round grade, but Mel's consistently had him as a first, so again, you got to take it through his eyes. Boundary corners is a position I'd address, and it's a position I address with Trevor Sikkema, so feel free to go check out that mock draft. And yes, I am going to shamelessly plug that mock draft in any way, shape, or form because it's my favorite video I've ever done. And I gotta toss Mike Renner in there too. Like there's been some awesome people that I brought on the show, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it as well. Which technically those are both within 2 weeks old. So they're all pretty damn new in case you want to check those out and hear what they have to say. But I do like corner nonetheless for the Bills. The Chiefs then go Josh Simmons at 31. I will admit, I've had some conversations with some people and they were like a lot more confident about Jalen Moore than I am. So I'll just say I'm a bit more pessimistic. I liked what I saw with Jalen in the very small stints that he's had, but I just don't trust him with Kansas City because I think he needs more and more development, and I just didn't think he's ready to start. But You have something that's a short-term plug. Josh Simmons would be the long-term. I personally think that he's going to be a superstar when healthy. He ended up showing at his pro day that he's an absolute savage, man. I mean, he was floating on air like multiple, just only under, I think, 6 months after a patellar tendon tear, which is nuts. Eagles go James Pierce at 32. Highly doubt that he ends up going in the first. I mean, from the inside sources that I've heard from, just people genuinely do not like this guy. He doesn't show up to practice. He starts fights with people. I love his talent. I mean, even with all of that, I still have James Pierce as my number 25 player with a significant drop in his grade because he was number 2 overall on my board to his personality. I just don't think the NFL will rock with it. And I do worry. I almost would take James Pierce Jr. off my board based on what I've heard. But round 2, the Browns go Tyler Shuck. I do think this is going to be a round 3 thing. I think we're starting to overvalue the quarterbacks. So we're like, okay, we just need to put these guys relatively higher. I don't think Tyler Shuck goes in round 2, but I do think maybe at the end of round 3, we could see the Browns trying to end up acquiring him. They get their quarterback there. Jalen Milroe goes to the Giants at 34. I think we all know that Jalen Milroe is trying to fake boost his stock by going to Green Bay. And so not really the biggest fan of him doing that, but Jalen Milroe going to the Giants, I would love to see it in round 3. Again, like the round 3 territories where I feel fine with project quarterbacks. Femi Oladejo goes to the Titans at 35. I love Femi Oladejo. This team needs an edge rusher. He's an outside linebacker, former linebacker as well, and he's developing so well. He did not do well during the season because it was first time at edge, but you could see how hard this guy works by how much he progressed into the Senior Bowl. This is a guy who I only have my tape grade on him as a top 100 player. But when I'm finalizing my edge, actually I'm damn near close, but finalizing my grade for Femi based on the Senior Bowl as well, I think he'll end up being a top 50 player for me. And then you add in the leadership profile as well. Jaguars go Emeka Egbuka at 36. Great value, even though I'd want to have Brian Thomas be able to play in the slot a little bit more. You can also kick Emeka on certain packages to the outside, so I'm perfectly fine with that. At number 37, we got the Raiders going Carson Schwezinger. Shout out to Oaks Christian alumni right there. We went to the same high school, which is pretty fun. Didn't even know about him until I ended up doing a stock report video. I'm like, these people I used to go to school with follow this guy. Very intriguing. But, linebacker is a key thing for the Raiders. I think Pete Carroll would actually really like Carson Schwezinger. And, Pete Carroll drafted 2 other Oaks Christian Lions in Zach Charbonnet as well as Colby Parkinson. So I could see him doing it once again. At number 38, we got the New England Patriots going Luther Burden. Surprising to see him here, but honestly, it is possible. Good players fall. Sometimes teams just don't see the value. And so Luther Burden ends up going here at 38 to be able to pair up with Stephon Diggs and the other weapons that they have on their team. Bears end up sniping Walter Nolan at 39. I talked about this. There's some inside rumors I'm trying to get more solidified sources and quotes on, but there's some big questions with Walter Nolan's personality. I don't know if it's true. Again, I'm not going to co-sign on it. I'm just saying what I've seen, what I've heard. But Walter Nolan has all the athletic potential to be well worth the pick number 39 for the Bears. Azareye'h Thomas goes to the Saints at 40. Yeah, I'd rather have Will Howard, Will Johnson, and then honestly, Will Howard at 40 than Shedeur Sanders and Azareye'h Thomas. And you guys know me. I've been a big proponent for Azareye'h Thomas for a long time. It's not a bad pick. I think it actually fits pretty damn well. I would not be mad if this was the end result, but I would say maybe you might end up being better in the reverse order. At 41, the Bears go Trey Henderson. It makes a lot of sense. Very similar, future outlook as Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, you can see the role, I should say, not future outlook. The role would be similar to Jahmyr in this offense. At number 42, the Jets go Elijah Arroyo. Hopefully that means the knee checked out, but, talent-wise, this guy's through the roof. I would just say, not maybe the best route runner in the world. He's a burner. I'd be intrigued to see how well he can actually play in the NFL because he's a mismatch. But when you're talking about NFL plays, I do think that NFL defenders might have a little bit easier of a time than some college defenders did with playing against Arroyo because NFL players kind of used to a little bit of a higher tempo that Arroyo surprises some college defenders with. Niners then go Kenneth Grant, KG at 43. No clue why he's slipping so much. Trying to see. None of this ends up saying why he's slipping, but the ceiling is through the roof. It makes a lot of sense for the Niners to go KG. I don't have very high grade on KG, and I'm just surprised by it. I think his talent is well worth 43 if you have the right situation around him. I do think that the floor is very, very low, though, because he's very similar to Jordan Davis in terms of the linear ability to move. But I talked about this, I believe, with Mike Renner, because we were talking about why we're a little bit down on Kenneth Grant. So, again, feel free to check out the end of that video where we're talking about him. It's the lateral mobility that you kind of need in the NFL as well, that he does have a little bit of a lack in, and then overall polish. Cowboys going Trey Amos is such a damn good pick. I mean, he'd end up fitting in right away, and I think he'd be a great replacement for Diggs. That'd be phenomenal. I mean, unless you don't want to pay Bland, which, if I'm not mistaken, I thought you did, but I digress. You guys are in a great situation if you get Trey Amos. At number 45, the Colts go Jonas Savania. He fits the athletic profile of what you guys would draft. I would not be too surprised if this was the pick. Falcons go Ben Morrison at 46. Without pre-injury, he was my number 3 player on the board. So even with the hip stuff, I would still believe that he's worth it at 46. Great pickup there. Cardinals go Tyler Booker at 47. We'll see. I just don't think Tyler Booker fits too well. I mean, it works like for the meantime, but I do think if you want to utilize Trey Benson to the best of his ability, you'd want to go for more of a zone running system than like gap. And Tyler Booker's a great player. He's just primarily a gap guard. And so I just would have my concerns there. But at 48, Dolphins go Darius Alexander. I actually had talked with Broshmo about this, and spoiler, we're going to have a pretty big project coming up. Might be 7 rounds. But Darius Alexander, if I'm not mistaken, might have been my pick to the Dolphins in round 2. He's a great player. Like age, you want to keep the Super Bowl window available, and so Darius Alexander gives you that chance. Bengals go JT Tuimoloau at 49. Honestly, I like it. Good fit, good value. Good pickup right there. 50, Seahawks go Savone Revel. I think he's a great boundary corner. Works well with Tariq Woolen as well. And Devin Witherspoon in the slot. I think that works. 51, the Broncos go Quinshon Judkins. That's a pipe dream. I think that's a great option. Just depends if Quinshon goes earlier than this. The Broncos could get screwed in the running back situation if they're sitting here in round 2 and the running backs go higher than expected. Seahawks then snipe wide receiver Jaden Higgins. I was a little bit worried about the Seahawks wide receiver position based on what's been drafted so far, but Jaden Higgins, spot on value. I love the guy. I think he should be a first round pick. And so you guys get a first round pick here in the late second. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go Nick Scorton at 53. Excellent value. I'm a big fan of Nick Scorton. I think people are just kind of sleeping on him because prospect fatigue, and he got a little bit worse over the year rather than better. Packers go Jack Besh at 54. He's my wide receiver 1. I have a full wide receiver video out on it, but one of the smartest route runners I've ever seen in terms of manipulating the field. And I'm an SMU alumni. I hate TCU with a passion, so that means something. And I don't like Savion Williams, so just got to put that out there. I had a very negative bias towards Jack Besh going in and ended up falling in love with him and ended up really, really appreciating his game. I think that's a great pick. Chargers go Mason Taylor at 55. It's a pick I've done myself. Tight end's a big aspect of this offense that is lacking, and Mason Taylor could be the final piece. Number 56, the Bills go Tyleik Williams. And, I mean, talk about incredible value. This is a first-round quality player. I fully support this one. I mean, you're getting a first-round player at a position of need here at 56. Just talk about popping the champagne bottle. 57, the Panthers go Isaiah Bond. I feel like this is going to be a little bit more of a third-round pick for Carolina. I think Mel historically has gotten like a lot of half points right for me because he ends up drafting a player they go in like the 3rd round and the 2nd. But, Isaiah Bond would be a good pick for the Panthers just in the 3rd round, not here based off of injury concerns. Texans go Jalen Noel at 58. I think it does kind of seal the deal on whether Tank Dell could ever come back because Jalen Noel is primarily a slot. But, I don't think you should be stopping yourself from going after a player that could be difference making on your roster if you have the opportunity. Yeah, Tank Dell, unfortunately, does not look like he's going to be a long-term answer there. David Walker goes to the Ravens at 59, another player that I feel will end up being like a late 3rd, early 4th round pick to the Ravens, but good player nonetheless, showed out in Mobile, just arm length a bit of a concern. And also height. He's like 6 foot. At number 60, you got the Lions going Anthony Belton. I love the fact you can use him as a guard early on, and he has the physicality that Mahogany does, and then you have the tackle ability in case of injury. It's quite smart if you actually end up addressing the position like that. Darian Porter goes to the Commanders at 61. He might be older, but he's still new to the position and doing a great job early on. I think that the age might end up turning out to be something that you don't really care about too much. You end up getting him on that 2nd contract when he's about 28. And if you're able to do that, then you can end up getting another 3-year deal and then get rid of him at 31, which is a really good outcome. I think that age is an issue only to be discussed in case of the best case scenario, not the worst. Bills end up going Xavier Watts at 62. Perfectly fine with this. Great ball skills. I have him a bit lower in like just outside of my day 2 range. At number 63, the Chiefs go Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson's a young, high rep, but still low overall career rep kind of guy, which is super rare to see. He had a lot of carries this past year, but not a ton on his career. So we got to see that he can handle it, but also he ends up having still a lot of tread on his tires, which is a rare situation from college. I do think Caleb Johnson ends up going probably early 3, late 2, even with the poor testing. I just think he got extremely overhyped in terms of his athleticism, and it kind of came crashing down. But Caleb Johnson, good back. I think he's probably the most overrated player in the class, but I'll leave it there. Ken Winston Jr. goes to the Eagles at 64 and ends off this draft. I'll have a safety video coming out in the next week or so. Kevin Winston Jr. is a good player. His initial angles for pursuit are absolute dog shit. I don't know why people don't talk about this enough. I mean, the guy ends up running the wrong direction like half of the time and gets him out of position. For how good of a tackler he is, it kind of is a testament to the fact he doesn't have a horrible missed tackle rate. Ended up being injured for the majority of this year, but looking at the West Virginia game specifically, he pops. He's a good player. It's just, to me, he's a 3rd round pick. So that is going to be the video right there. Good to see Ozzie Trapilo being mentioned in here as well. I do think a right tackle could be something that you guys focus on day 2, and hopefully not day 1. Thank you again for watching, though, and supporting the show as always. See you on the far side.